everybody, welcome to the KillJoy Jake YouTube channel. Today I was going to do a review of The Strangers Chapter 1, but this is just going to end up turning into a rant. I apologize in advance. There are many elements of movies that don't really bug me that do bug a lot of other people out there, and I totally understand that. Scream 6, I think, is a spitting example of a movie that I personally really like and defend, but I totally understand why some people weren't crazy about that new installment. It does borrow things from previous entries. The twist from that film is almost exactly the same thing as Scream 2. I do think they find their own way to make that film unique, though. It is something different. It's not quite the same thing. The Strangers Chapter 1 is, I mean, beat for beat, 90% of this film is exactly scenes you have already seen from the previous two entries. There is one scene of this movie that is original, and I won't spoil yet. I'll give you a warning before I do spoilers at the very least, even though this is literally the only thing that would be a spoiler if you've seen the last two films. There's one singular scene of this movie where they actually did something original, and it was spoiled for me in a brand new TV spot that was posted to their Instagram page. I'm at a loss for words here. This was a waste of time, a waste of money. What the fuck happened? Even though I am absolutely flabbergasted by the film I just paid to see, the genuine 0 out of 10 I just witnessed in the theaters, I do want to say that I am an eternal optimist, and I think that maybe there's this smallest sliver of hope that Chapter 2 could be something worth our time. And we're going to get into all of that in today's video, but moving forward, I will be getting into spoilers, even though it's tough to even call them that. If you have seen The Strangers from 2008, you've seen The Strangers Pray at Night, you've seen this film for the most part. And if you've seen that TV spot that just recently came out, you've seen the whole thing. You've already seen the whole thing. You might as well not even fucking see it at the theaters. God damn, let's get into it. Spoilers ahead. I guess you've been warned. I guess? All right, so let's talk about everything that The Strangers Chapter 1 rips off from the previous two entries. So starting at the top here, we do the same sequence with Is Tamara Home? Okay, that's not the biggest deal, right? I was kind of expecting that. We saw that in the trailer. Well, they do the same thing that Pray at Night does, where the light bulb is out and the main character, the male character specifically, has to turn that and turn it back on. I just watched these movies. They're very fresh on my brain. I'm sure many of you did that before seeing Chapter 1 as well. The man in the mask is watching the female character in the background, except it's done way worse here. I will say it's pretty cool that we got to listen to Moonlight Sonata, maybe a little Resident Evil reference, little reference to Johannes Roberts, director of Pray at Night. That would be kind of cool if that was the case. The male character has to leave for some reason. It is almost the same goddamn reason here in Chapter 1. This is the same fucking movie as the 2008 film. What the hell, man? The couple at the center of this film, which is exactly the same thing as the Brian Bertino film, is also struggling with potentially getting married. Replace Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman with Roy Gutierrez and Madeline Pesh, not in that order though. The male character gets pinned down in a car. I will say it's a slightly different reason than Pray at Night, but it's like beat for beat almost the same thing. I'm shocked we didn't have a pool scene in this where the character almost dies but then gets saved by the female character. At least we get a kill out of that sequence in Pray at Night. We didn't even get that here. Our strangers tie up our characters and kill them, except it is a little different here. Roy Gutierrez gets stabbed once and dies, and then they like push him on the ground. I don't see how that's an exciting death, especially because our antagonist here grabs a big ol' axe, which he never uses in the entire film, which I think is pretty disappointing. Tell you what, I thought we were gonna get a head chopped off or something. This film only has 3 kills, and all of them are underwhelming and disappointing, or something you've already seen in another film. Wow, it's almost like I'm a broken record there. Get it? Because that's another thing that this movie steals from a previous film. Ryan shoots the Airbnb guy in the face, which is almost the same thing as from the original Strangers, where you have the main character shooting his brother in the face, but it's way less emotional and way less cool. Also, it's not Dennis Reynolds from Always Sunny from Philadelphia getting shot in the face, so it's a lot less cool. I'm a golden god! There we go. I like that. And then finally a deviation. Madeline Pesh's character does survive, but then they steal yet another fucking scene from The Strangers Pray at Night, where our character is alive in the hospital and you get the idea that the strangers are still there. It is slightly different though, because the man in the mask is sleeping in the bed with Madeline Pesh's character, Maya, which is also a scene that is stolen from The Strangers Pray at Night. I give up. This movie fucking sucks. In a recent interview, director Renny Harlin said that this new film, Chapter 1, is not a remake of the original Strangers. He's right. It's not a remake of the original Strangers. It's literally taking scenes from that original film and Pray at Night, stitching them together and pretending it's something new. There are like 3, maybe 3 scenes of this movie that aren't something that's taken from a previous film. 1, you got the chicken scene. Not bad. The chicken scene, you know? I like chickens. What?
That'd be the video, just chicken scene.
When our main characters are running through the woods getting chased by the strangers after they've been separated, it's kind of the same thing as the 2008 Strangers film, but I'll give it that because it is a little different. We have the character of Ryan hold a shotgun right up to Pinup Girl's head, and he doesn't do anything about it. For a good, like, at least 1 to 2 minute long sequence, the man in the mask comes up and just knocks him out. It's not even an exciting sequence, like when you have Luke in The Strangers Prey at Night holding a gun up to Dollface in the previous film, and then he can't shoot the gun because he's scared. It was nice in Prey at Night because at least they set that up earlier, where Luke is kind of wary of having a gun in their possession when his dad goes and picks it up from the other trailer. In this movie, it's just completely underwhelming and doesn't make sense why our character would not shoot this killer in the face. And then finally, the coolest scene in this entire movie is a sequence where Maya and Ryan must crawl through a crawl space to evade the strangers, get out of this cabin, and then go run into the woods. That's their loose plan, essentially. And it was spoiled for me in a brand new TV spot that the marketing team decided to ruin for all of us. During the sequence, Maya is going through the crawl space and she does not notice a loose nail sticking up from the floor or the ground, whatever, and she smacks her hand right through it. It is the only scene in the movie that got a reaction out of me, and it probably would have gotten a better surprise out of me if I hadn't seen it beforehand. The Strangers Chapter 1, in my opinion, commits every single sin that a franchise continuation can possibly make. But even after the 0 out of 10 film that I just watched, maybe Chapter 2 could be something that's at least decent, at least a 2 out of 10, because this wasn't even anything. This offered absolutely nothing to me as a Strangers fan. There are multiple things in The Strangers Chapter 1 that didn't end up going anywhere, but I'm gonna give that the benefit of the doubt, considering that we do have 2 more movies, and at the end of this film, it says this will be continued or whatever. To be continued! Some of those things include Richard Brake being in this film, yet having no lines. He's probably one of the biggest stars in this, besides Madeline Pesh and Froy Gutierrez. This horror legend has gotta be playing a bigger part in this trilogy, considering that he was introduced as a cop during the diner sequence, and then we see the cops roll up to the house at the end of the film. He'll probably be a bigger player in Chapter 2. There was also a sequence where Maya was on the phone with one of her friends, someone who might be getting some kind of plane ticket to go and visit them, so I'm imagining that we're going to see them in a future installment as well. Maybe Chapter 3. There was also a lot of setup with some of the characters in the town that I have to admit I am vaguely interested in to see if that goes somewhere. It does also feel like the first chapter of like a long limited series. So even though right now at this very moment I'm feeling like this movie is a 0 out of 10, maybe Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 will make it feel a little better. Retroactively, those things could end up going somewhere and then was worth my time. And I just feel used as a Strangers fan. That was a little over dramatic, I'm not gonna lie. Just like this whole video is, but at least it's more entertaining than the movie we all just watched. To close this out though, if this was the only film we were getting from this entire trilogy, I would tell you don't even see it. It is a waste of time and money. Fuck that shit. I will say, maybe Chapters 2 and 3 make up for it. So if you're a diehard Strangers fan, you gotta see what this is all about, go to the theaters and check it out. And then maybe Chapters 2 and 3 will be better. But wow, The Strangers Chapter 1 makes The Exorcist Believer look like Terminator 2 in terms of good sequels. I can't fucking believe what I just watched. The Strangers Chapter 1, as of right now, gets a 0 out of 10 from me, but maybe that changes in the future. This film offered absolutely nothing new for me, so it doesn't get any fucking points. Apologies to the people who enjoyed The Strangers Chapter 1, but wow am I disappointed as a big fan of those original 2 films. What did you guys think about this movie though? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching this. It's not even a review, let's be honest, it's a rant. Please consider subscribing though. I'm not this cynical and angry in every video, I promise. Thank you all again for watching, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.